There was a time in my life when I was set on killing myself. And the feelings of doing myself harm honestly return every now and again. I know that if a certain person were to hear this, they would feel a lot of fear and or maybe even love, I'm not sure at this point, but they would want to direct me to someone that would put me in a situation where I could not hurt myself. I've never seen this as a proper method of dealing with someone such as myself. I don't really think of anyone beyond myself in that consideration, really, or never have. But, and the reason for that is that simply by restraining me from hurting myself, I don't feel that I would achieve anything. Now, I could be wrong, but the point that I want to make is that the desire for suicide is something that I've thought about, and it must be wrong based on the way I feel now, because if God did create us all for love, for joy, then committing suicide would be the same as committing murder, homicide. And that is not something I've always felt. It has directly to do with self-love, this desire to commit suicide. And I was just writing a little entry, I call them letters to God. And I was recalling my suicide note that I had written when I came to Fargo, North Dakota. And what I wrote on it was that I hope I've not found a way to stop myself from destroying the earth or using its resources in a selfish way. And so, and I did not at that time believe that there were any way to properly use the resources on a planet that is whose population is growing extensively. I believe the truth is that human beings are the pinnacle of God's creation, and that's not something I've always believed. Um, but at the same time, that does not give us the right to do unloving things to each other, to ourselves, or to the planet, especially to the planet. That does not give us the right to do unloving things to the planet. In other words, although we're on the top, we're the greatest of God's creations, that does not give us the right to exploit the lowest of God's creations. And that's a very tricky thing for me. I don't have the answers in that regard, and I have trouble squaring it. Um, but suicide has to do with a lack of self-love, the desire for suicide, and it also has to do with a lack of truth in regard to what I just mentioned. Um, I can't tell you for sure that God exists, but I can say that I have felt a beautifully loving presence in my life that I believed was God. I would like to say without a shadow of a doubt that yes, God exists, but I frankly do not feel that I have proper proof in my own life. But that is really one of the biggest things. If God exists and God is loving, that changes everything. So, I don't know if I've fully made my point, but I thought I'd share that with you. Thanks for listening.